Support for Consider This is provided by the University of Nebraska at Omaha College of Communication, Fine Arts, and Media.
Consider This, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
Well, the inspiration for the first book, I was probably 35 years old. I'd never written before. I wasn't planning on writing. I was a lawyer. And I felt sure I'd do that for the rest of my life. But I saw a trial one day. I wasn't involved in the trial, but it involved a young girl who had been raped and left for dead. And she came into the courtroom to testify against the man who had done a lot of really horrible things to her. She was 12 years old. And watching that testimony was brutal. And the inspiration came for this courtroom drama set in a small town in the South, as seen through the eyes of a young attorney who basically defends her father for getting his retribution. And the inspiration was sudden, and it became overwhelming. It became almost a compulsion to see if I could capture that on paper. And 3 years later, it was finished. It became A Time to Kill.
However, he is a best-selling author, attorney, politician, and activist, and he's coming to Nebraska. Why? Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, UNO's Marion Marsh Brown Writers Lecture Series, an annual event made possible by today's guests, Paul and Jill Brown. Thank you both so much for being here, and welcome to the program.
Pleasure to be here.
Paul, I want to start. What's in a name? Tell us about Marion Marsh Brown.
Well, she was my mother. That's a good start, I guess. She was actually born on a farm outside of Brownville, Nebraska. Her father was the editor of the Nebraska Farmer, which was a paper that was in wide circulation in the early 1920s, actually. And in her early years, I think she had a lot of influence from her father as far as writing is concerned. She liked to write short stories. She would submit them in competitions and contests. So she had really identified her love of writing at a very young age. She went to Peru State Teachers College, graduated from college at 16, was teaching in high schools around the state by age 17. She actually married my father about 10 years later, and they at that time moved to Omaha, and he was a practicing attorney here in Omaha, and she got a job at the university here teaching English and creative writing. During this period, she had written hundreds of short stories, but it wasn't until after that she came to the university that she wrote her first book, which was Young Nathan, about Nathan Hale. It got a Literary Guild Award, and that was really the start of her book writing career. And for the next 40 years, she wrote a total of 20 novels, historical fiction, a number of different topics that she did along with her teaching of English and creative writing here at the university.
Wow, and we have a list of titles from her books. We're going to put those up for our viewers. And as that's going, Paul, talk a little bit about maybe your thoughts in terms of your mother's works, right?
Well, it was an amazing thing as a young boy, because most of my friends' mothers all were stay-at-home mothers, and my mother worked. So that was the first unusual thing. And she also did a lot of speaking. She would go around to schools and talk about her writing. So she really had a kind of a reputation early when I was young, and so it was kind of an admiration of what she had done or what she was doing.
Did you have a favorite book, Paul, of hers?
Oh, I guess I like Swamp Fox, which was about Frances Marion. That's the book that Disney picked up and made a movie about. So that one always captivated me. When I was young, we took a family trip down to the area where Frances Marion hid, and we went out to the island where he had his camp, and so I got to see firsthand, as a youngster, what my mother was writing about.
Well, you've talked a lot about your mom. Tell us a little bit more in terms of your family. So brothers, sisters?
I have one half brother,
okay,
who was my father's son. He is deceased now. He was a track star at the university, then became a teacher and coached swimming at South High School, and then retired and is now passed away.
Wow. Of all the things that you remember about your mother, greatest lesson that she taught you, Paul?
Gosh, that's a hard one. I suppose hard work. My father always said, don't skimp on the tail, which he meant finish the job. And I think that's the one thing that sticks in my mind, that, to always do your best, but to complete whatever your project is and see it through to a finish.
Wow. Jill, now, when were you introduced to the Brown family? Tell us how that all shook out.
Well, I met Paul when I was 14 at Peony Park one summer, and we've been friends ever since.
Wow.
So I guess that's when I met the Brown family.
So I would need to ask you then, what was your first impression of Marion?
Well, as you can imagine, when you're a sophomore in high school, you probably aren't all that interested in the mother when you have a boyfriend. But she had such a reputation at that time. She was as Paul has said, she was writing, and she was famous among educational circles. To have Marion come and speak at your class was really quite an honor. So I knew her more by reputation at that time.
Was it daunting for you? I mean,
very.
How did you feel around her then?
Absolutely.
She's famous, right?
I was very intimidated for many years because she was famous. And then when I went to UNO, she was teaching here. To have your boyfriend's mother teaching there, that's another thing. So it took many years to cross that threshold and see her just as a person.
So, Paul, how instrumental were you in helping Jill cross the threshold, right? You knew your mother, right? And you could certainly see what was going on and how nervous she was. How instrumental were you in helping her get over that?
Well, I'm not sure I was to begin with, but no, I thought they always got along well, and we enjoyed spending time with my mother, and so my father had passed away when I was in college, so she was alone at that time, so she would do things with us, and we enjoyed having the three of us doing things too.
Okay, so Jill, what did you learn from Marion? Once you were able to kind of cut through and be a little more comfortable with things, was there anything in particular that sticks out?
I think I learned more later in life from her, because once we got married, we had our own children, and we were busy, and we saw Marion, did things with her, but she was our kids' grandmother, and it's just normal. And then when your kids are gone, you kind of sit back and think back over your life. And it was really at the Legacy Luncheon that we attended, the legendary Woman Luncheon last spring, that I said to Paul, she was an amazing person. She was way ahead of her time. She was sitting at home in the 1940s typing manuscripts on her kitchen table and sending them off to publishers, which no one did anything like that. Who would have the nerve to write a story and say, well, I'm going to send this off to, who did she send to? Abington Press, for example, or whatever. And go out and teach and do all these things and be a mother, get to all the basketball games. She was very loyal. She was at every game that Paul ever played, football, basketball, and baseball. She was a great mother as well. But that's amazing. Today, I think women take on all of these things, and they try to do everything. But back then in 1949, when she was writing her first stories, that didn't happen.
What was the secret to her success, Paul? How did she manage to juggle all of that and make you feel, it sounds like you were the only one in the room going to all of your events and, I mean, how do you do that?
I can only guess, but she was very well organized. When she set out every morning, she knew exactly where she was going, what she was doing. And she was very dedicated. She would write it in the morning, she would write at night. She would do everything. She tried to fit everything into her schedule.
Paul, what inspired her? We all have something that gets us up every morning, and drives us on to the next thing. What do you think that was?
I think it's her love of writing and her love of reading. The combination of the two. She loved to read, she loved to write, and she loved to tell people about it. And I think that was her driving force, was just her love of writing and her love of trying to convey this to other people.
Do you ever remember her having down times? So she's obviously written quite a bit. It sounds like that was such a major part of her life. Did she ever have a time that you can remember that she wasn't writing?
No. There was none.
She was always
if she would travel in her later years, she liked to travel. She would go places around the world, and she would always come back and write an article about her travels. It'd be published in the World Herald or a travel magazine. But she always converted everything she did into some type of a writing manuscript of some sort.
Let me ask you, when people would talk about her, what was the overriding message that they would be delivering to people? When you would say, when you think of Marion, what comes to mind? What were people talking about when it came to talking about your mother?
Her writing.
Yeah.
I think that was the probably the stage that she lived on. Was in those days there weren't a lot of women writers, particularly in Omaha, Nebraska, and so she had opportunities to speak. She would speak to schools, professional groups. She spent quite a bit of time actually public speaking, and I think that's the thing that probably stands out the most.
So let me ask you, what would be important for us to know about her that we wouldn't know because of all the writing? I mean, surely she had other interests, or there were things about her that maybe were overshadowed because she was such a wonderful writer.
Well, the interesting part is she loved music. She could play the piano. She was a wonderful pianist. She liked to go to the playhouse. She liked plays. She had a lot of interests that she also pursued. Travel was certainly one in her later years, and she was an amazing person because she was able to fit all of this in, to one fairly short lifetime.
Did she ever get tired, Paul?
In later years, yes, but not when I was growing up. She was always on the go. And one of the interesting parts I remember is she had her own car, and there were not a lot of women back at that time that had her own car, because she was up in the morning and off to school or wherever she was heading, and she just kept a very busy schedule.
Wow. So tell us about this Legendary Woman Award. How did you first hear about it? Tell us how all of that came down the pike.
Really, through no fault of ours, we just got a call one day from one of the people that were part of the organization. Apparently they have been recognizing women who have contributed to the university for a number of years, and she was selected because they were kind of working through the different 10-year periods, and she was selected for the legendary woman for the period that she taught here. And so it was really a well done presentation, and we certainly had a great time that day.
So as a way to celebrate life, the two of you came up with this series, sitting at a table one day just talking about things, or how did all of this...
No, she came up with it.
Oh, so I'll look at Jell, so excuse me for...
her brainchild for sure.
So how did this all come to be then?
Well, I've always liked to read also, and so Marion and I were on the same wavelength with reading, and I used to type some of her manuscripts. I knew her books well. So we were on the way home from the program that day. I mentioned to Paul, I said, I really would like to have a lecture series at the university for several reasons. One, to honor your mother. I think she would be thrilled to think that she was spreading the word about writing and giving people who like to read the opportunity to meet a writer. She would like that very much. That would be a great thing. Secondly, I had gone to UNO. I had 2 degrees from here. I think UNO is wonderful. I had no idea that UNO is what it is today. I think we need to spread the word and get more people coming to UNO. And so on the way home from that, I said to Paul, this is what I think we should do. And he said, it's a great idea. It satisfies a lot of different needs.
So yeah, genius, right? In honor of someone, and then you pick this, not just any author, by the way, to launch this whole series, and it will take place at the new Baxter Arena. So all the stars aligned, right?
At the
How
right
on
time.
earth did you get John Grisham? He's going to be your first one. He'll be speaking on April 21st. So tell us the story there.
Well, he is our first speaker, and Paul's favorite, I said to Paul, who is your favorite author? And he said, John Grisham. And then I said, well, mine is Pat Conroy. And I do like John Grisham too, so let's see if we can get one of the two. And we were initially told that John Grisham would not be available, but we were able to get Pat Conroy, and then things didn't work out, and John Grisham graciously accepted and said he would be happy to come. So we have John Grisham.
I bet you are just so excited.
We are so excited.
I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for UNO as well as the community to be able to have this opportunity to see this man at no cost, all because of your kindness and generosity and creativity. I mean, you came up with the idea. Congratulations, that's amazing. John Grisham, of course, written a few books, right, Paul? Just, a few. We're going to put those up on the screen, and I just want you to kind of speak what's coming to mind as you see all of these things up on the screen there.
Well, I can honestly say I haven't read all of them, but most of them. Some of his books, all seem to have a basic content to them. They're all around a lawyer. They seem to be all situated around a lawyer, and they all take on some facet of our economy. He takes on big coal. He takes on the mafia in one of the books. He takes on big publishing. There are some social implications in the books, as well as just the pure enjoyment of the character development and the plot and the conclusion to his writing.
What I'm finding fascinating is I'm looking up there, and for moviegoers, so many of those, were turned into movies. So if people aren't big readers, they may have seen his works through the big screen. Jill, did you want to comment?
Well, I wanted to comment on, he does do a lot of lawyer books, but he also has a lot of other ones, like A Painted House is a story of a young 7-year-old child, and it's about cotton planting and the summer of that child's life. Totally not, it doesn't have anything to do with the legal business. It's a wonderful story. He also has a series of 5 books that are written just for children. It's about a little child detective. They're a great series. He has books about baseball, the football.
Playing for Pizza is up there.
Right.
That's a great story. It's a short book about a football star who ends up in Italy playing football. He left the Super Bowl in disgrace and ends up in Italy playing football, and ends up loving the life of Italy and loving playing football there. Just great stories.
What was your first book, each of you, that you read? That John, do you remember?
I don't remember. They've been
so
long
many,
ago.
and so much time passes.
Probably The Firm. That's the one that stands out. That's where the mafia infiltrated a law firm. That's the one that I remember first.
I think I read Bleachers first. I think I picked it up at an airport. And then from there, I found out he can write other things other than crime stories or law stories.
Well, and in fact, he did write a non-legal. It's called The Tumor. And I know you've read that one,
I did read
Jill.
that.
So give us the Reader's Digest version of what we have.
I liked reading The Tumor because it's a philanthropic endeavor on his part. He wants to tell the story that we can now use lasers instead of surgery. You don't have to go through surgery to have operations. The laser can do it, but it hasn't been approved. So his book here is to try to get more people on board to push for this laser treatment. And he's working with a foundation. He's on the board of a foundation. So he has written the book. It's a great book. You don't even have to know anything about medicine to read and understand the book. It's written in layman's terms. It's a great book.
So what I'd like to do for the viewers at this point is paint a picture for the actual event, which is Thursday, April 21st. Let's just start with, how do folks become involved? They probably need to call ahead. Tickets are no cost, but what's the process here to get in to see this man at the Baxter Arena?
Well, tickets are available at the Baxter Arena. We have also distributed them to various outlets, to a number of friends too. We also did a special for the Omaha Bar Association where we provided them tickets, and we'll have a special seating area for the Omaha Bar Association. Right now we're at about 150 lawyers that are going to be there, so it was certainly well received by the legal community.
Wow. And this event will start at what time?
7 o'clock.
It'll start at 7, and he's expected to speak for how long, you guys?
Probably an hour, and then we're going to do questions for 30 minutes.
Okay, and then he's done. So
He's
he will
finished.
be on stage for an hour and then field some questions. Is there anything else he's going to be doing around this series as part of his visit to Omaha?
He's going to start the day, I think, doing a master series here at UNO for the students, the English, particularly the creative writing students. And that's going to be here on campus in one of the venues. I'm not sure which one.
I don't know.
But,
it's in the afternoon.
they said it would seat like 300 people. So that's the afternoon. Then he's going to come to basically a meet and greet for some of the people that the foundation wanted to bring in, and then there's going to be the lecture and then the questions and answers. Did I leave anything out?
I think you got it.
He has it down pat. Do the two of you get to spend any time with him on your own, just to visit with him kind of off?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be
We
very
don't know
busy.
about
That's kind of a
We
drag.
might,
Hopefully you'll
but
get an autograph book or two at least, right? At least.
We can bring our selections. And
Yeah.
Ask him
Boxes
to sign them,
for him. So what is next for the series? This is an annual event. Already started thinking about next year and the following years? I mean, what's your vision for this series overall?
Go right ahead.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to top John Grisham for recognizable names. So I don't really know. We're looking at maybe getting somebody who is in a special field, like maybe a sports writer, that wouldn't be a competing writer. I don't know. Otherwise, I have a lot of other authors I'd like to meet. So,
And
we might get some of those.
So, do you know how long this annual series is? Was there, as you were formulating the plan, were you thinking it was just going to go on for a while?
We think in the now. If it's great and people continue to love it, who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, we'd like to see this go on ad infinitum, and we're certainly willing to provide the financing for it. So we're hopeful that this will be something that will continue on long after we're not here.
Yeah. So let me ask you then, following up with what's next for the series, what's next for the Browns? Right, very actively engaged, doing a lot of wonderful things for the community, obviously. Do the two of you get any downtime, any time to just do what you like to do? You mentioned travel with your mom. Do you get time to do that?
Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we enjoy life. There's certainly no loss there. We love to travel. I like to play golf. She used to like to play tennis until a few physical complications, but I think the one thing we are looking for another philanthropic opportunity to really remember her parents, because we'd like to also do something in their honor, in their memory.
Mm-hmm. And your parents, tell us a little bit about your...
Well, my mother was a teacher. My father worked for Massey Harris Farm Implement Company. He was from Canada, but he lived in the United States the last half of his life. So we'd like to do something. We haven't figured that one out. We haven't honed in. It's not as easy as Paul's mother.
Well, maybe so, but Paul, it's kind of the pressure's on here. Jill thought of this great idea, right? So is she looking to you then maybe for some advice on what to do for her folks?
Boy, I hope not. If she does, she's in trouble. She's the creative side of our family, let me tell you.
Okay. All right, I want to put up a graphic because there are going to be viewers who are going to be wanting to know more about this series, specifically John Grisham coming to town. So for those folks wanting more information, it's Marion Marsh Brown Writers Lecture Series. And to find out more, you just go to unomaha.edu. Okay, we have about 20 seconds. Did I miss anything from the two of you? Anything important to know that we didn't cover?
We do have a website too.
We have a Marion Marsh Brown website.
It's just marionmarshbrown.com? Great ad. Okay.
We want to put pictures on from the event.
Perfect.
And keep that going through the year.
Well, I want to thank the two of you very much for your kindness, generosity, and the beautiful things that you're doing in memory of others.
Well, thank you for having us.
Congratulations.
This has been fun. Thank you.
You bet. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information can be found at unotv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours, or email us at considerthis@tvmail.unomaha.edu.